Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. I have waited a long time for this review. You might even say, though I joined this company in June of 2014, I've been waiting since I first saw this watch in 2013. I wasn't even in the watch space, and I was just out of the Navy, and this was already the grail of grails. The timepiece on my wrist, launched in 2011, is the Zenith El Primero Tourbillon. The name says it all. 44 millimeters in stainless steel. This is a hugely wearable, hugely practical, everyday tourbillon automatic chronograph. Still a high beat El Primero, still 100 meters water resistant and fully loomed. This could, if you have the right sensibility and budget, be your only watch. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, it's large but not overwhelming. I could easily wear this if my wrist were as small as 15 centimeters circumference. The timepiece is 44 millimeters in diameter, and at 15 millimeters thick, I have to say, all things considered, it's thinner than I expected. Lug to lug, it's broad but not overpowering. At 52.2 millimeters, the spacing between the lugs is a broad modern 22, so it has a proportional stance. It doesn't appear choked where it joins the strap. Now jumping a little bit closer, we're going to give ourselves some more light and appreciate the strap and the clasp on this watch because they're anything but standard. The strap is alligator leather, large rectangular scale, dark brown, monotone stitch, folded edge, high grade stuff, but on the underside, not calfskin, but a rubber inlay to buffer your wrist heat, sweat, oils, and moisture to protect the strap and also provide a more supple feeling against the skin. It's more comfortable and it mitigates against strap wear. This is not a standard pin buckle or even deployant clasp. You need to squeeze the triggers, push them forward, open it up, and now you can see just how elaborate this mechanism is. A double fold, and as you can see, finished internally, both blasted and polished. It's friendly to a small wrist because of that double folding action. You can see that the buckle and the trigger array, substantial mechanisms, and money was spent here. This could easily have been a pin buckle to cut costs. No such thing. Every feature of this watch feels optimized, as though Zenith took the hard route to making the best watch possible. You can see vintage style pump pushers. The caseband, just like the Chronomasters, featuring a minimally curved, though handsomely polished flank, and a little bit of a squared off lug profile. You can see they have an inverse tuck. They turn down a little bit with a transitional bevel and high polish between the bright polished edge and the satin finished hoods of the individual lugs. Now jumping to the bezel, you can see it's quite minimal. Let me give us a bit less light because we're getting glare here. The bezel is quite minimal. As you can see, it's conical, it's narrow. It gives way to a dial that features a pronounced flange, that is a slope from the bezel down to the base. And you can see that Zenith, again, not taking the easy way out, specified a box section and domed sapphire. That is an expensive piece. Flat sapphires are cheap. Domed sapphires next, the most expensive, domed and boxed. And this is domed and boxed. The dial is a reactive sunburst. We'll bring back that extra light. It has a dynamism as you move it around in the light, but not just because of the sunburst center. There's also a satin finished metallic grain to the minutes track outboard, and as you can see, there's a 60-second scale. We may as well start up that blued counterweighted seconds hand, and you can easily read fractions of a second using that outboard scale that has a little bit of a flange-like cant to it. The individual indices are diamond polished applique, and you can see the sub-registers for both chronograph minutes and hours, it has both, are somewhat superimposed, but it doesn't impede readability because you can see that the minute track remains intact. They too have a satin finished metallic surface. Now there is a remarkable date and a tourbillon that for all intents and purposes is a flying tourbillon. It's not. There's a second sapphire under the sapphire that serves as the upper pivot bearing the seconds hand, but it looks like a flying tourbillon because the bridge is made of sapphire, so you can see the entirety. Let me see how close I can get without losing focus. You can see the entirety of the tourbillon architecture, the cage itself, the escapement, the balance, and the hairspring beating away. You'll also note that there is a finished metallic flange outboard and a date disc, and this watch features a fun quick-set system. You don't lose the quick-set. Zenith remarkably re-engineered the El Primero with caliber 435 to create this extravagant high-beat, 10 beat per second, 36,000 vibration per hour, off-centered tourbillon that preserves the chronograph, the 50 to 52 hour power reserve, and even the date and the quick-set function. I should also mention, because you're going to ask, given the original roughly $60,000 price point of this watch, watch. How is the finish? Well, I'm happy to say everything on the Tourbillon side is hand finished and exquisite. Heat blued screws, mirrored anglage chamfering on the edge of every component that's visible on this side. They put serious and laborious effort into everything from those bevels to the screws to the black polished regulator, which you can see as I turn the watch through the light. So hand finishing on this side. The finishing on the case back is handsome but mostly mechanically applied. There's a Côte de Genève across the skeletonized rotor, an engine turning or perlage on the bridges beneath. You can see blued screws, you can see straight graining of the levers for the chronograph, and you can also see that it uses a crisp column wheel architecture and a large and visible lateral clutch. The lateral clutch on the El Primero is one of the most visible and beautifully executed on any chronograph. Some automatic chronographs show you nothing. This watch shows you everything. You can see as I move that lateral clutch out of the way, the recentering hammers can be actuated to fall on the heart cams, and you can see right underneath my finger the column wheel, and one of the crispest column wheels you will encounter. 35 joules automatic winding, and as you can see, water resistant down to 100 meters. This really is an all-the-time tourbillon, built for everyday use, right down to the fully loomed dial, which you are about to see. They say don't meet your heroes, but I have to say, in the case of this watch, dream fulfilled. It stands just as tall on its four lugs as it did in my imagination. It can inspire your imagination on the watch box. Zenith El Primero Tourbillon, loomed and legible.